You've been there before. Staring at a problem that should be simple, but your mind feels like it's wading through thick fog. You try to focus, but your thoughts scatter in 10 different directions. You feel like you're thinking in slow motion while the world speeds past you. Here's the truth nobody tells you: the issue isn't that you can't think fast enough. It's that you're trying to think through clutter. Your mental workspace is crowded with distractions, half-formed ideas, and unnecessary noise. And you've never been taught how to clear it out. Today, that changes. I'm going to share with you a clarity checklist that will transform how you process information, make decisions, and solve problems. This isn't about working harder with your brain. It's about working smarter. And by the end of this video, you'll have a practical system you can use immediately to think with the speed and precision you've always wanted. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The problem with how you're thinking now. Before we get to the solution, you need to understand what's actually slowing you down. Most people assume they need to think faster, so they try to rush their thinking. They skim instead of read. They jump to conclusions. They multitask relentlessly. But here's what really happens: rushing creates more confusion, not less. Your brain isn't a computer that simply needs to process faster. It's a pattern recognition machine that needs the right conditions to function optimally. And right now, you're probably sabotaging those conditions without even realizing it. You're carrying around mental baggage from yesterday's stress. You're trying to hold too many variables in your head at once. You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. You're second-guessing yourself before you even finish a thought. You're confusing activity with progress. All of this creates friction. And friction slows everything down. The good news: once you identify the friction points, you can eliminate them systematically. That's exactly what this clarity checklist does. It removes the obstacles between you and clear, fast thinking. Checkpoint 1: define your exact question. Here's where most people go wrong right from the start. They think they know what they're trying to figure out, but they don't. They have a vague sense of the problem, a fuzzy outline of the question, but nothing precise. And vague questions generate vague thinking. Your first checkpoint is brutally simple but game-changing: write down, in one clear sentence, exactly what you're trying to think through. Not 3 sentences. Not a paragraph. One sentence that captures the essence of what needs clarity. For example, don't write, "I need to figure out my career and what I should be doing with my life and whether this job is right for me." That's 3 different questions masquerading as one. Instead, write, "Should I stay in my current job for another year, or should I start looking for new opportunities now?" See the difference? The second version is concrete. It has boundaries. It gives your brain something specific to work with. When you define your exact question, something almost magical happens. Your mind stops wandering through possibility space and starts focusing its energy on a defined target. You eliminate hours of circular thinking just by getting crystal clear on what you're actually trying to solve. So right now, whatever you're trying to figure out in your life, stop and write it down. One sentence. Be ruthlessly specific. This single act will cut your thinking time in half. Checkpoint 2: clear your mental cache. Your brain has limited working memory. Think of it like RAM in a computer. When too many programs are running in the background, everything slows down. The same thing happens in your mind. Before you can think clearly about anything important, you need to close the background programs. You need to clear your mental cache. Here's how you do it: take 5 minutes to do a complete brain dump. Get a piece of paper or open a document, and write down everything that's occupying mental space right now. The email you need to send. The conversation you had that's still bothering you. The errand you keep forgetting to run. The worry about money that's nagging at you. Get it all out. Don't organize it. Don't solve anything. Just empty your head onto the page. What you're doing is externalizing your concerns so they stop competing for your attention. Once it's on paper, your brain can relax. It knows that information is captured and won't be forgotten. This frees up massive amounts of mental energy for the task at hand. Professional chess players do this instinctively. Before analyzing a complex position, they clear away all distractions. They enter a state of singular focus. You need to do the same thing, and the brain dump is your shortcut to getting there. After you've dumped everything out, take 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes. Feel yourself settling into the present moment. Now you're ready to think with real clarity. Checkpoint 3, gather only what you need. Here's a mistake that masquerades as diligence: over-researching. You think you need more information, so you keep reading, scrolling, watching, absorbing. But more information doesn't equal better thinking. Often, it creates the opposite effect. Information overload is real, and it paralyzes decision-making. When you have too many data points, your brain struggles to identify what actually matters. You get lost in the weeds. Your third checkpoint is about being selective. Ask yourself, what are the 3 most important pieces of information I need to think clearly about this question? Not 10. Not 20. 3. If you're deciding whether to accept a job offer, maybe you need to know the salary, the company's growth trajectory, and how the role aligns with your 5-year goals. That's it. You don't need to read 50 company reviews or interview 20 people about their experiences. Gather what you need, then stop. Resist the urge to keep consuming. More research often becomes procrastination in disguise. You're avoiding the actual thinking by convincing yourself you need just one more article, one more opinion, one more data point. The best thinkers aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who know what to ignore. Practice strategic ignorance. Protect your mental bandwidth by being fiercely selective about what you let in. Checkpoint 4, separate fact from feeling. This checkpoint is where most people stumble without realizing it. They blend facts with feelings and end up making emotional decisions while thinking they're being logical. Here's what I mean: you might think, I can't start that business because it's too risky. But too risky isn't a fact. It's a feeling wrapped in factual language. The fact might be, starting this business requires $20,000. I don't have liquid right now. The feeling is, I'm scared of losing money and looking like a failure. Both the fact and the feeling are valid, but they require different responses. You can't think clearly when they're tangled together. Your checkpoint here is to explicitly separate them. Take your question and list the objective facts on one side of the page. On the other side, list your feelings about those facts. Facts are verifiable. They're measurable. They exist independently of your interpretation. Feelings are your emotional response to those facts. They're real and important, but they're subjective. Once you separate them, you can think about each clearly. You can address the facts with logic and strategy. You can address the feelings with emotional intelligence and self-awareness. But when they're mixed together, you can't think straight about either one. This distinction is particularly crucial when you're under pressure. Stress amplifies feelings and makes them feel like facts. The world isn't ending, you feel like the world is ending. That's the difference. Learn to ask yourself constantly, is this a fact I need to address, or a feeling I need to acknowledge? This simple question will sharpen your thinking exponentially. Checkpoint 5, find the pattern. Your brain is a pattern-matching machine. When you feed it enough relevant information and give it space to work, it will naturally identify patterns you couldn't see consciously. This checkpoint is about activating that ability intentionally. Once you've defined your question, cleared your cache, gathered your information, and separated fact from feeling, you're ready to look for patterns. Ask yourself, have I faced something similar before? How did that turn out? What did I learn? What patterns do I see in the information I've gathered? Let's say you're trying to decide whether to pursue a new opportunity. Look at your past decisions. When have you taken risks before? What happened? More importantly, What patterns emerge from your successful decisions versus your unsuccessful ones? Maybe you notice that you thrive when you have autonomy but struggle when you're micromanaged. That's a pattern. Maybe you notice that you've historically underestimated your ability to learn new skills. That's a pattern. Maybe you notice that your gut instinct has been right about people 70% of the time. That's a pattern. Patterns are predictive. They help you think faster because you're not starting from scratch every time. You're leveraging accumulated wisdom. The key is to look for patterns without forcing them. Stay curious, not conclusive. Ask, what does the evidence suggest? What themes keep appearing? What's trying to reveal itself here? When you find genuine patterns, decision-making becomes dramatically easier. You're no longer guessing. You're working with probability and precedent. Checkpoint 6, eliminate false choices. Here's a thinking trap that costs you enormous amounts of time and energy, the false dichotomy. You convince yourself that you have to choose between option A or option B, when in reality, there are options C, D, E, and beyond. This happens constantly. Should I stay in this relationship or leave? What about working on specific issues first? Should I take this job or keep looking? What about negotiating the terms of this job to make it more attractive? Most problems aren't binary. But stress and fear make us think in black and white terms because it feels simpler. Except it's not simpler. It's limiting. Your checkpoint here is to actively generate alternatives. Whatever choice you think you're facing, force yourself to come up with at least 3 other options you haven't fully considered. Challenge your either-or thinking. Ask, what's a third way? What am I not seeing? What would someone completely outside this situation suggest? Sometimes the best answer isn't A or B. It's a creative combination of both. Sometimes it's waiting and revisiting the question in 3 months with more information. Sometimes it's a completely different path you hadn't noticed because you were so focused on the obvious 2 choices. Expanding your option space doesn't mean making things more complicated. It means giving yourself permission to think creatively instead of reactively. It means refusing to be boxed in by artificial constraints. The fastest thinkers don't rush to choose between the options presented. They pause to ask, are these the only options? Checkpoint 7, test your assumptions. Every thought you have rests on assumptions. Most of the time, you don't even notice them. They're invisible. But they're controlling your thinking nonetheless. If you want to think with true clarity, you need to surface and test your assumptions regularly. This checkpoint is about making the invisible visible. Here's how: take whatever conclusion you're leaning toward and ask yourself, what would have to be true for this to be the right decision? Then list out everything that comes to mind. For example, if you're thinking about starting a side business, your assumptions might include, I'll have enough time to work on this after my day job. There's sufficient demand for this service. I can handle the stress of working extra hours. My current employer won't have a problem with this. Now test each assumption. Is it actually true? How do you know? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? You'll often discover that you've been operating on assumptions that don't hold up under scrutiny. Maybe you assumed you'd have time, but when you actually track your hours, you realize you're already stretched thin. Maybe you assumed there's demand, but you haven't actually talked to any potential customers. Testing your assumptions isn't about being negative or talking yourself out of things. It's about being realistic so you can plan effectively. When you know which assumptions are solid and which are shaky, you can think much more clearly about risk, preparation, and probability of success. Some of your best thinking happens when you challenge yourself. Don't let assumptions sneak past unexamined. Bring them into the light. Checkpoint 8, decide and commit. Here's where the rubber meets the road. You can think clearly all day long, but if you never make a decision, all that clarity is wasted. This final checkpoint is about closure. Once you've moved through the previous checkpoints, you have everything you need to decide. Now you need to actually do it. Set a deadline for yourself. Give yourself permission to decide with the information you have, knowing that no decision is ever made with perfect information. Waiting for certainty is just another form of procrastination. Make your decision clearly. Write it down. Say it out loud. Make it real. Then, and this is crucial, commit to it fully. Decide to make it work rather than second-guessing yourself endlessly. Doubt after the decision is more costly than making a slightly imperfect decision with full commitment. Your brain performs better when it knows the thinking phase is over and the action phase has begun. Lingering in indecision drains energy and creativity. Deciding releases both. Of course, if major new information emerges, you can always revisit your decision. But until then, trust your process. You used a systematic approach to think clearly. Honor that work by following through. Bringing it all together. Let's recap your clarity checklist, the 8 checkpoints that will transform how you think. 1. Define your exact question in one clear sentence. 2. Clear your mental cache with a complete brain dump. 3. Gather only the 3 most important pieces of information you need. 4. Separate facts from feelings explicitly. 5. Look for patterns in your experience and the information. 6. Eliminate false choices by generating alternative options. 7. Surface and test your hidden assumptions. 8. Decide and commit fully. This isn't theory. This is a practical system you can implement today, right now, for any decision or problem you're facing. The beauty of this checklist is that it works whether you're deciding what to have for dinner or whether to change careers. The stakes change, but the process remains reliable. Your challenge. Here's what I want you to do after watching this video. Don't just let this information sit there. Put it into practice immediately. Take whatever question you're currently wrestling with, something you've been overthinking or avoiding, and run it through this checklist. Actually do it. Write out each checkpoint. Work through the process. I promise you, when you reach checkpoint 8, you'll have more clarity than you've had in weeks. Maybe months. And here's what will happen over time: the more you use this checklist, the faster it becomes. Eventually, you'll move through these checkpoints almost instinctively. Your thinking will speed up naturally because you've removed the friction that was slowing you down. You'll stop overthinking. You'll stop second-guessing. You'll start trusting your process and making decisions with confidence. The clarity you've been searching for. It's not some mystical state you're either born with or without. It's a skill. It's a practice. It's a checklist you can master. So take this tool and use it. Your future self, the one who thinks clearly and decides confidently, is waiting for you to start. You've got this. Now go think better.